these clumps of bamboo. They're going to be a little bit more visible in a second, I promise. There's going to be some bongo. There they are, type of antelope. Males and females have horns. Those horns sit back on their head, and they actually help the bongo to navigate through the underbrush. And they're sometimes known as the ghosts of the forest, because they're almost impossible to find. Of anything on this side of the forest, so I think we should head down to the water hole. It's a great place to go whenever you're looking for wildlife, because at some point during the day, everything is going to come down for a drink. It's also your best chance to see some of the rare species that live in an area. Rarest animal out here, at least one of the rarest, got to be the black rhino. There's actually fewer than 5,000 black rhinos left in the world. Rhino populations are dropping. It's because they're being poached for their horn, which has a very high price on the black market. There we go, black rhino on our left-hand side. So pretty large animal. They weigh about 3,000 pounds. A lot of people don't realize rhinos are also incredibly fast when they get moving. They're able to reach speeds of about 35 miles an hour. Our best chance to head down into the Safi River, and we're going to go see if we can find some hippos. Now, when you go searching for hippos, first place that you should look is the water, because that's where hippos spend most of their day. Water helps keep the hippos cool, and it also protects them from the sun, so they really only come out on land at night, and that's when they go out to look for food. But when they're in the water, hippos are usually pretty tricky to find. They like to stay under with just their eyes, their ears, and their nose peeking out above the surface. And they're also able to hold their breath for about 8 minutes. And so sometimes when you don't see anything right off, but you kind of got the feeling there's a hippo around, best you can do is look for bubbles, ripples, signs of movement, try to figure out where they are.
There's one back there to the right. In the water way back there.
There we go, some hippos upriver to the left of us. Now with just those few bits and pieces above the water line, you can kind of get a sense of their size. They'll tip the scales at about 5,500 pounds, but they're more than capable of outrunning a human on land. They're also incredibly territorial. Helps make the hippo one of the most dangerous animals here in Africa. Large great birds nesting on that island, those are the pink-backed pelicans. They get their name from the pink coloration that appears on their backs during the breeding season. We're going to cross over this bridge here in just a moment, folks, and when we do, there's going to be a few Nile crocodiles below us. Very, very large reptiles. We'll go down. Crocodile can grow to about 20 feet in length and they can weigh well over 500 pounds. I'll keep looking off to the left, and you'll start to notice some breaks in the tree line. Really good indication that we're going to be heading out of the forest, and eventually we're going to be making our way out onto the savanna. That's obviously a completely different ecosystem, so with a little bit of luck, once we get out there, we'll get to see a few different animals, but nothing else. There's going to be a pretty drastic change in the vegetation. in just a second. We're going to be coming up to a baobab tree. It's going to be off here to our right-hand side. Baobabs are sometimes known as upside-down trees. That's because their branches look like roots. Look kind of weird, but they're amazing plants. Baobabs have the ability to conserve water by going leafless for up to 9 months out of the year. They also have the ability to store a lot of water in their trunks during the rainy season, and that's going to help them survive any other extended periods of drought.
Pretty cool.
Alrighty folks, there is the change in the vegetation, which means we have officially reached our destination. You can see the Serengeti, it stretches across East Africa for miles and miles and miles. So lots of animals out here, zebra and wildebeest especially, they're going to use this like a super highway during their migrations. So we're going to make our way down this hill. Got a couple of animals off to our right-hand side. We're going to start the very large light brown antelope up by the tall grass. That is a Patterson's eland. Largest species of antelope here in the reserve. Male elands stand about 6 feet tall at the shoulder. They weigh about 2,000 pounds. There's obviously the giraffes. Now those are Maasai giraffes. You're able to tell they're Maasai from their spots. They have a very irregular shape to them. Lots of different types of giraffe. The thing that really just makes a giraffe is that very long neck. There's only 7 neck bones in a giraffe's neck, same number as in a human. Obviously in a giraffe, their neck bones are going to be a little bit larger than ours. A full-grown giraffe is about 18 to 20 feet tall. It's about as tall as a Nile crocodile is long. Looks like way off in the distance, for now on our right-hand side, some Ankole cattle, brown animals, massive horns on top of their head. Those are going to be the only domesticated animals you find in the reserve. They were bred by the Watusi tribe to live right alongside the wildlife. On the left, as we keep going, kind of look off your left shoulder, but up by the bamboo, there's a pack of African wild dogs laying down, and one of my absolute favorite animals. Wild dogs are sometimes known as painted dogs, and that's because of their spot pattern. But don't let their appearance fool you. The African wild dog is one of the most successful carnivores here in Africa. They're more successful hunters than hyenas. They are more successful hunters than all of the large cats. They travel in large packs, and they have a lot of stamina, so they really just chase their prey until it drops from exhaustion. But they are so cool. I love them. Alright, better view of the Ankole as we're coming around here. Those horns are about 4 feet long. It looks like they would be pretty heavy. They are. Not as heavy as you would think. They're not solid on the inside. There's actually a honeycomb-shaped structure in there that helps keep a lot of the weight off, while still keeping the horns structurally strong. Those horns are also lined with blood vessels, so they help the Ankole to regulate their body temperature. Also making our way past some of the smallest animals on the savannah, but if you're looking around, you won't really notice too much of anything, because the animals aren't out in the open inside of all these cones. These are termite mounds, and they're nothing more than some dirt, some dung, and to hold everything together, some termite saliva. And after they bake in the sun, they're not as hard as concrete. And when the termite mounds get to be really tall, that's what large animals out here like to use them as scratching posts. Eventually, they're going to get worn down, once they're the right shape and size. So when smaller animals can use them, look into the tall grass and see if there are any potential predators.
Giraffe over there.
Another view of the giraffes and the eland. Coming around here. There's also some springbok. Small gazelle-like animals. They're pretty tiny. They're only about 3 feet tall at the shoulder. They weigh about 100 pounds. But they are known and named for their jumping ability. Now, when springbok are alarmed, they can spring into the air straight up about 6 feet. They can leap forward about 13 feet. Looks like there's a couple more of them just a little bit farther up. With the gray animals, those are white-bearded wildebeest. Now, wildebeest are sometimes known as new. That's spelled G-N-U. And they got that name from the little grunting noise that they make. Wildebeest take part in one of the largest animal migrations in the world. As the wildebeest migrate across the Serengeti, they usually number about 1.5 million. Here we go. Starting to look like now. Really good time for us. Actually leave this part of the savannah behind. That way we're able to head down into my favorite part of the reserve. That's elephant country. Now before we get too far in, I'm just going to make a quick stop over at Monkey Point. Now, Monkey Point got its name from a troop of mandrills that have been known to come to the area. Mandrills like to stay in thick cover, so they're usually pretty difficult to find, but they live in large troops, and they're also very colorful monkeys. They're really bright by the blue coloration on them. To find a mandrill, you just really have to look in trees, around trees, find termite mounds and rock formations. And if you find one, chances are pretty good you can find another one somewhere. Ah, there we go. A couple of mandrills off to our left-hand side. It's going to be the rest of the troop is around somewhere. I don't see the dominant male right off. He's always the easiest one to distinguish when he's around. He's about 100 pounds. Females are only about 30. Kiddo's got a little bit of growing up to do.
What?
Looks like along with the mandrills, we are starting to get a few signs of elephant activity. You look all around, you see all the trees on the ground, all the limb damage. That's the elephants that did that, because they're the bulldozers out here. So if there is something up in a tree that an elephant wants, that it can't reach, it's going to knock the tree down to get to it. Kind of makes it seem like elephants are destructive animals, when they're not. They're really beneficial to have around. Whatever they leave behind is food or shelter. A lot of smaller species. Not what I wanted to see. Main road through the reserve, folks, does not exist in that one spot. It's a washed out from the rains we've had. So, yeah, I'm not taking that. It's going to be a whole lot easier, and it's going to be a whole lot safer if we actually take the service road through here, which isn't really that bad of a thing because it puts us down into the red clay pits. Best place in the reserve to go when you're looking for an elephant. So we'll see what we can find. Just a couple of things before we get there. First, we are going to have to make it over another bridge. Now, some of the safari guides like to call this the Hini Faini Bridge. Now, from Swahili, that roughly translates to "this is fine." It always makes a lot of noise, but it's really just all talk. It's fine. We also have to make it through all this very thick vegetation. And that means we got to be on the lookout, really just for anything that could be moving through. Kind of hard to believe, especially at first, but if animal decides to, no, hold on! Nobody move, nobody move. This is fine. Front tires. There's the back tires. And we are getting out of here as fast as we can. Don't see any elephants down here at the moment, but they have definitely been through, because you can see all the tusk marks from where they've been digging. They come down to eat the clay. It gives them a lot of beneficial minerals into their diet they don't get from the vegetation that they eat. There's some elephants a little bit farther up. Definitely a herd. Elephant herds are going to be multi-generational. They are the females and their calves. The herd itself is led by the matriarch. She's usually the oldest female, and over the years, she has learned where all the food and all the water sources are on the migration routes, and then she takes the herd to those places. Elephants are always on the move. They cover a large amount of space during the day, and that's because they're looking for food. As a full-grown elephant, usually it's about 300 pounds of food a day. So naturally, as they're out here wandering around and just looking for things to eat, elephants can and will come into contact with people. That's when things get dangerous, not just for the humans, but also for the elephants. But the good news is that it doesn't matter the size or where it lives. One of the best and the easiest ways you can help protect an animal is just by learning everything you can about it. So a couple of researchers here in the reserve, they decided to study elephant communication. And in doing that, they found that of all the things in the world, elephants will avoid bees. That sounds kind of weird, but the researchers found a vocalization the elephants will use just when there's a beehive in the area. It acts as a warning to the other members of the herd. They know to stay away. Farmers out here now use that knowledge to their advantage. They put beehives on their fences. Keeps the elephants away from the crops. Farmers can then sell the honey to supplement their income. A little bit farther up are some greater flamingos. One of the larger species of flamingo, and they're also one of the less pink. But as we're going around, if you look, you're going to be able to see some pink coloration on them. All flamingos are going to turn pink, just from the beta-carotene that's found in the food that they eat. They eat shrimp and other smaller vertebrates. Right there, folks, that's my favorite view of the entire reserve. So let it sink in for a couple of reasons. One, it's awesome. Two, we can't really stay here that long. And three, as we keep moving along, we're actually going to be making our way down to white rhino territory. So
I saw a white rhino earlier.
just like black rhinos, white rhinos were hunted to near extinction for their horn, but it was because of conservation efforts of reserves that white rhino populations were able to start to make a comeback. Rhinos worldwide, though, there they are, still facing the threat of extinction. They're still ruthlessly poached for their horn, all because some people believe that rhino horn has medicinal value to it, when it doesn't. Rhino horn is made out of keratin, which is the exact same protein as our hair and our fingernails. So when you get right down to it, you get the same effect from consuming rhino horn as you do by chewing your own nails, which is a whole lot of nothing. So those adult rhinos, they're going to be about 5,000 pounds. They're a little bit larger than the black rhino that we saw in the forest, but they're still just as fast. There's another rhino up that trail. We'll keep moving around. We'll get on the other side of it here in just a few moments. We should be able to catch back up with that.
You know.
There's a cheetah on the left. Fastest land animal. Able to reach speeds about 68 miles an hour. So they're really, really fast. They don't really have a lot of stamina, so they tire out pretty quickly. Alright, let's head back around and try to catch up with that rhino. Actually, in order for us to get on the other side of that trail, we are going to have to make it past a large rock formation, which is called a copie. Sometimes lions will use copies to look for prey. It's up on the ground. It gives a pretty good view of the surrounding area. Normally, you don't see lions up and about during the daytime. They're nocturnal animals. They're active mostly at night. Also, real big thing, lions are inactive about 20 hours out of the day. They spend most of their time resting and conserving their energy for when they go out on a hunt. A couple more white rhinos. Not the one that we saw, but they're still around. Ooh, some great zebra. There to the right-hand side of us. Question that always comes up with zebra is the question of a color. Are they black with white stripes or white with black stripes? So zebra are going to be black with white stripes. You're able to tell because of their nose, which is black. That's their skin color. Yeah, there's a lion. Right at the edge of the rocks there. He's not going to be moving around at this point until the sun goes down.
Oh, he's taking a nap.
Yep.
Couple of burrows over our left-hand side. Chances are good. There's going to be a warthog around here somewhere. They're the largest burrowing animals here in Africa. Oh, there we go. A couple of warthogs. If y'all don't see them at first, just kind of follow this hill down. And then there's those large green rocks right next to it. A couple of long fuzzy rocks on the ground. Those are going to be the warthogs.
Oh, yeah, Sam.
Oh, I see.
So we get another view of the rhino and the zebra here in just another second. Brown antelope on our left. Those are called Pontabok. Pretty much considered extinct in the wild. Nowadays, you only find them out on reserves like this one. White antelope with the zebra off to our right-hand side. Those are called addax. Addax are a desert species. They'll get almost all of the moisture that they need to survive just from the food that they eat. But if they were to come across a water hole, they're not going to pass by the opportunity to take a drink. Most animals out here won't. Alright, so you can see the vegetation around us starting to get a little bit thicker again. As we are moving back towards the forest. We got to be on the lookout for anything. There's still lots of signs of activity, and it's really good because it means we're moving in the right direction. There's a couple of yellow-billed storks off to our right-hand side. Yellow-bills are opportunistic feeders, so they're going to eat fish, amphibians, reptiles, small birds, mammals, invertebrates. Anything really that's small enough for them to cut to their beaks. Well, there we go. Right underneath the trees here to our left-hand side, there's a scimitar horned oryx. That is a desert species of antelope, just like the addict. So very well adapted to living at incredibly hot temperatures, also very well adapted to conserving water. So in order to prevent themselves from sweating, the oryx has the ability to raise its body temperature to about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, it doesn't really matter how big or really even how small an animal is. Habitat is going to be the key to its survival. That just means it can find all the food, water, and shelter necessary to survive. There's a lot that we can do to make sure that there is habitat for animals, but especially for the animals that live right in our own backyards. Planting native grasses, trees, flowers, that's food and shelter for a lot of different species. We can always take it the next step and put in a bird bath, a toad abode, even a bat box. Despite their reputation, bats are really beneficial animals to have around. During the course of an evening, one bat can eat a few thousand bugs. They're especially fond of eating mosquitoes. So in just a moment, we are going to be back up to a warden's post. That's where I'll drop you off, and from there, it's just a short walk up the hill to the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. Now that is a walking trail, but you can think of it as a continuation of your safari. You get to explore parts of the forest a little bit more in depth, and you might also get to see a few animals that don't inhabit the main part of the reserve, like the meerkat and the woolly gorilla. It's also a good time for you to take a quick look around, make sure you have all of your personal belongings. I'd really hate for you to leave something behind, because it might be a little bit difficult for us to get that item back to you, if we're able to get it back to you at all.